lot of people saying the blues, but I'm gonna tell you what the blues is. When you ain't got no money, you got the blues. When you ain't got no money to pay your house, you still got the blues.
Hey everyone, it's Jason from Blind Eggs and Ham. In today's episode, I'd like to tell you how I, as a VIP, interact with fully sighted people when they're curious about my vision or lack thereof. I live in the beautiful city of Concord, New Hampshire, about 2 blocks from the downtown proper. I'm an independent cane traveler who enjoys going for leisurely walks during the day, as well as the urban hike to the grocery store, pharmacy, bank, and occasionally a restaurant in town. As I travel, random people have come up to me and asked me very pointedly what's wrong with me, why I can't see. One question was, "Hey mister, what's wrong with your eyes?" Sometimes the children I pass by on the street will ask their parents what the stick is for, and some parents give a very thoughtful response to their kids, while others kind of sweep the question under the carpet. I spent the first 40 years of my life with the gift of 20/15 vision and an eye for detail. It's taken me about 2 years to learn how to live life as a blind person, so I often joke that I spent the first 40 years sighted and that I don't play a blind person very well. But, all joking aside, in the beginning I was irritated with explaining to people what was going on. I can recall one instance having just endured a medical procedure on my very lower GI that was rather indignant. And in the process of checking out of that medical office, some gentleman behind me, and I use that term loosely, belts out unabashedly, "It must suck to be blind." I offered a very terse response. It does suck being blind, but my life doesn't suck. What does suck is dealing with uneducated folks like yourself, and I immediately left, fumbling for the elevator. I will admit, at the time, I was kind of bitter at my life circumstances. 40 years sighted and now I can't see shit. I'm dealing with multiple medical appointments weekly, and I didn't have the energy to thoughtfully engage people. As I went through O&M and learned to navigate the world again, I realized that I lived in a glass fishbowl now and that all eyes were on me as I navigated the sighted world with limited usable vision. I found myself as an ambassador for a very tightly knit community of visually impaired people, my VIPs. As my training progressed, I started working with my friend Thomas and learning the blind life. I began seeing myself as a different person. I began realizing that sighted people really have no clue what it's like to be blind. Shit, I was fully sighted at one time, now I'm legally blind with low vision. I'm just now 2.5 years into this new life, and I'm learning what it's like to live life without perfect vision. I still have no clue some days what's going on. But having lived in the city for a while now, after being a country mouse with my family, I'm willing to engage these folks in the community. Earlier this week, I navigated to the bus stop, which is about 3 blocks from my house, and I got on the bus for a doctor's appointment, and on the ride, a fellow bus rider asked me about how I got around. It took me a second or two to think about the answer, and I began explaining some of how I navigate. During that conversation, I was able to dispel the myth that blind people count their steps. This woman was very adamant that blind people counted their steps, and I assured her that was not the case. The only time that I would do that is if I'm crossing somewhere, like to get to my path. There's 4 cane swings before I reach the end of the curb to turn left into my apartment. So that's about the only time that I count steps. On another trip to the local grocery store, I had a rather hilarious interaction that lasted maybe 20 seconds. Now picture this. I'm exiting the store. Now this is a really old store. The front entrance is 2 standard automatic swing doors, one in and one out. Now picturing the entrance of the store, on the left-hand side you have the entrance, and on the right-hand side you have the exit. They're very close to each other. I had just shopped with my daughter and had the backpack filled with about 50 or so pounds of food, and I proceeded to exit the door and to the right. Little did I know that there was a woman entering the store and was rather quiet in doing so, and our paths crossed. As I exited right, my cane became entangled in between her legs like a scissor. Embarrassed, she blurted out, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see you." My response was, "Well, with all due respect, ma'am, I really couldn't see you either." She kind of laughed it off and continued on her business. And my daughter Brianna is beside me laughing her butt off at the exchange, recounting it several times in our walk home. Another time exiting the same store, an older gent approached me and asked me about my vision. I extended my hand, greeted him, and introduced myself. It turned out his mother was an educator for the visually impaired some years ago, and he was curious about me and my condition. I explained the short version, got the grossed out response, and was told he admired my courage to get up and keep going. I thanked him and continued on my way home. Growing up, my parents always told me to mind my business and not ask what's wrong with other people. I think sometimes that this isn't the best approach. I find educating the young ones about how I get around and let them ask pointed questions about me is the best route to take. I'd be curious to know how others handle such situations. Please leave your comments below. Have a great day. This is Jason N1EMS signing off.